Hi everybody, it's Terry Ryder from Hotspotting, bringing you our regular weekly feature at this time, Hotspot of the Week. Location of the week, one location from around the nation that we pick for its outstanding qualities, we think, and potential for future growth. And this week we're going to feature our location for a number of reasons. It's the Stirling local government area in the city of Perth in Western Australia. And we've chosen that one for a number of reasons. One is that while the two major city markets, as we've often commented, and as I'm sure you're aware, are winding down, some of the smaller cities, including some of our regional cities, are cranking up. And one of the markets we think is most worthy of notice at the moment is Perth. Perth has been through some tough times in recent years. Its market has been in decline, while Sydney's and Melbourne's have been rising. But now, as they wind down, Perth, still counter-cyclical in terms of those two bigger cities, is starting to our recovery phase. And the evidence of that is growing almost weekly. The Stirling local government area is one of the locations that leading that Perth recovery in terms of its property markets. But it stands out for another reasons. We've just published the winter edition of one of our most popular reports, which is the Price Predictor Index. And in that edition, we have our national top 10 municipalities, the 10 local government areas around the nation that stand out in terms of the number of suburbs or towns that they have in their midst, with growing sales activity. As we think these are areas, clusters of suburbs that are going to show good price growth. Now, of the top 10, the one that stands out the most, the number one in the nation, in fact, is the Stirling local government area of Perth. It has more suburbs with growth markets right now than anywhere else in Australia. So it's worthy of being our location of the week for a number of different reasons. So we have a location report on the Stirling local government area, the City of Stirling, in the inner northern suburbs of Perth, and I'll go through the reasons why we rate it so highly in terms of the way we structure that report, which you can get if you're interested in finding out more from the hotspotting.com.au website. Now, the first thing that stands out, it's the largest local government area in the state by population, and it's also the largest in the city of Perth by area. It's also the second largest employment area in Western Australia. So the CBD of Perth is the largest, but this is the second largest in terms of the number of jobs that are created. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a moment. It's stood out for us for some time, even when Perth was still in its downturn. This area stood out because it was one of those areas that was most resilient, that withstood the most extreme impacts of the market downturn, more so than most other areas of Perth. And now it's one of those areas that's leading the recovery. In fact, it is probably the number one location in Perth in terms of the recovery, for the reasons I just mentioned. It's got more suburbs with growing sales activity likely to lead to price growth than anywhere else in Perth at the moment. Okay, so as I said, it's the largest local government area in the Perth metropolitan area, and the largest local government area in the state by population. It's an outstanding employment district, and this is really important. It's always important to look at the underlying economy in any location you might consider investing in, and this particular location stands out for a number of reasons. It's got three major tertiary institutions, a university and a couple of major TAFE campuses. It's got one major public hospital and a major private hospital as well, numerous public and private schools, three major shopping centres, lots of precincts with bars, restaurants and cafes, because it includes the beach areas like Scarborough. Got plenty of parks and reserves, but it's got significant industrial areas, primarily in Balcatta, Hammersley and Osborne Park. And Osborne Park, which has over 23,000 jobs, is the largest employment area within this particular local government area of Stirling. Some very major businesses are based there, including some of the major media organisations in Perth. It's also a key manufacturing site within the city. It's got food production, technical equipment and appliance manufacturing. Population of this local government of 210,000, so it's bigger than many of our major regional cities in its own right. And it's nicely situated. It's a little bit north of the Perth CBD. The closest suburbs are about 5-6 kilometres from the CBD, and then the furthest are about 15, 16, 17 kilometres from CBD. It butts the ocean, so it's got major beach areas like Scarborough, and good access via the Mitchell Freeway and one of the metro train lines, including stations in suburbs such as Stirling itself and Glendalough. The property market, it's an interesting one because it's got a real range. People in almost all price ranges can find somewhere to buy within the City of Stirling, because it's got some top-end suburbs with median prices above $1 million. And then it's got a range of suburbs with median prices in the 700,000s, 800,000s, 900,000s, include suburbs like Scarborough, Stirling, Mount Lawley, Inglewood, Double View. Then you go down into a number of suburbs with median prices in the 500,000s, right down to there's a few such as Belga and Westminster and Nollamara with median prices in the sort of mid to high 300,000s, and there's Balcatta in the 400,000s. So a real range of price ranges there. So whatever your budget or your price range, you can probably find something to buy in this particular area of Perth, if you're impressed by its growth qualities, as we are at Hotspot. We're now starting to see what we've seen primarily initially is an uplift in sales activity, which is always a precursor, we find over time, a precursor to price growth. And we're starting to see the first signs of that, particularly the top end. Now, one of the characteristics of the Perth market at the moment, and one of the reasons why we think the Perth market is at the beginning of an upcycle, is that we're seeing a very, very significant rise in median prices in the $1 million suburbs. The top end of the market often leads a recovery or an upcycle. And we're seeing that in Perth. Now, the suburbs of this particular area of Perth, suburbs like Wembley and Wembley Downs, where the median house prices are above $1 million, they've actually had some pretty solid price growth in the last 12 months, sort of 6, 7, 8%. And then there's a few other suburbs in the lower price ranges that are starting also to show minor to moderate price growth as well. And then there are others still slightly in the negative. But we're seeing the first glimmers of a return to price growth in this area on the back of that uplift in sales activity that I mentioned earlier. So a good, strong market that offers a lot in terms of price ranges, proximities, jobs nodes, infrastructure facilities, etc. There's plenty coming up in its future. One of the things that stands out for me is that there's a lot of money being invested in this area by people who own major shopping centres. The Westfield Innaloo shopping centre is undergoing a $600 million expansion, while the Carrying shopping centre also having a major expansion where $500 million has been spent. There's a few other projects happening there. There's redevelopment of the Scarborough Beach area, one of the sort of standout lifestyle precincts within the City of Stirling. So plenty of investment happening to continue the process of creating jobs and making this one of the significant economic hubs of Perth, as well as one of the major residential areas, which offers such an interesting range of suburbs with an interesting range of prices. So, yeah, it really stands out for me, this particular area of Perth. Perth's recovering. This is the area that's leading the recovery. There's a few others that are doing well, but this is the one that stands out the most. It is our number one growth star in the winter edition of the Price Predictor Index, on the basis of the fact that it's got 10 suburbs, more than any other local government area in Australia, with rising sales activity, and they include Careen, Double View, Guelph, Innaloo, Jundana, Stirling and Chewett Hill, and there's a few others as well. So starting to develop into an outstanding property market, one that's going to show good growth, I suspect, in the coming years as it leads the Perth recovery. So that's our our location of the week, our hotspot of the week. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about it, you can go to the Hotspotting website and get the location report for Stirling. And there's also location reports from a number of other areas around the Perth market and from markets right around Australia at hotspotting.com.au. So that's it for now. We'll be talking to you again later in the week about some other issues and some other locations, but that's our hotspot of the week, the Stirling local government area in the city of Perth. That's it for now. Ryder from hotspotting.com.au signing off. I will talk to you again soon.